Hello, Jason Andera, Midco Sports Network, here with Adrenaline Volleyball's Hayley, Dotseth, and Darren Tipton to break down the SoDak 16 in Class B. This is the games that if you win, you're in the state tournament. And there are some really good matchups. Darren, let's start with some of the best matchups in Class B.
It's hard to pare down. It's pretty much all of them.
Obviously you're going to look at the 8-9 matchup, and that's Castlewood-Fulton.
Right.
Castlewood, a team that's flown under the radar, I think, a lot this year. Fulton, a team early on, I think we had as number 2 preseason.
Tough schedule, too.
Yeah, very tough schedule, and been up and down a little bit, but they returning state tournament team. Another one was Burke Ipswich. And Burke's been that team. They've battled injuries all year when they've been completely healthy. I think they've been one of the state's top teams, been to back-to-back state tournaments, right? But Ipswich is that team, plays a tough schedule, probably doesn't get talked about and noticed because they're going up against the Warner, the Fulton, the Northwestern, right? And a lot of their losses have come from that. Another one is Warner Freeman, and I know it's 5-12, but Freeman is a team that we watched all year, probably a lot more experience back from Warner, even though Warner has that postseason pedigree, the tradition, whatever, and we've talked all year about how young they are, but Warner's the 5, Freeman's the 12, but Freeman looked really, really good in their region play. And then I know it's 2-15, but we like the Chester Avon, and Avon for a 15 seed is, had a really solid season, and that could be an interesting matchup as well. So, and we just named 6 of the 8.
Yeah, it's basically every matchup here. The team that often comes up talking about Class B is Northwestern, and they have some of the most talented players in this bracket. Let's start with some of the Northwestern players before we get to some of the others that we don't normally hear from.
Yeah, I mean, talk about Northwestern, you have to talk about Madeline Groft, Sydney Schell, Hannah Schnetzel.
They've really all stepped up.
Yeah, it's like every single position. I'm like, okay, all 6 of them. But they're so much fun to watch, and they've beat Class A's number 1 seed Miller. They're a great team. They've dropped 1 set all year, and it's not like they're flying by every single team.
Right.
So yeah, they're so much fun to watch, and they're, like I said, every single player can be named as a player to watch.
And there's a couple other players. I mean, Warner had such a senior-heavy team, but they have one holdover from that state championship team that's doing quite a good job here.
Yeah, Peyton Fisher was actually their setter last year for that state tournament team, and Ava Nilsson took care of that. She took over the setting position this year, and we have been really impressed with her. She's young, but she plays like she's a senior. She controls the court, and the rest of her players are still young, mostly freshmen and sophomores, but she has complete control of the floor, and she is a ton of fun to watch, especially with Fisher on the right side helping her out.
Well, Fisher's done a really nice job transitioning to that spot from being the setter on a state title team as a freshman to accepting another position and role has proved, it's proven beneficial for the team and for her. So yeah, it's not that they don't have talent, it's just not as experienced talent as maybe a Warner team normally has had.
Yeah, and I think that'll be a fun game to watch because you look at a young team like Warner playing a more experienced, like you mentioned earlier, Freeman. And a lot of times those are kind of like give and take matches where one set will be 25-13, the next one, the other team's winning 25-13. So those are almost the most fun to watch for me.
And we talked about Avon being a 15 seed, but they have some players to watch out for too.
Again, a young player like Shayla Nickel, I think she was our rising star. We decided to give it to her right after we saw them play it. I was like, she's got to get it this week. She can play on either pin. She swings with power. She doesn't look like she's a freshman. She's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, and they have a nice balance of senior experience with some younger depth, and a couple of coaches' kids on there, which always are going to have a high volleyball IQ. And so Chester has had a great season, and they're deep. We talked about the talented players for Chester as well, but just something that it just caught my eye that they were a 15 seed because I think they've had a better season than that. Avon.
Yeah, so many great players we could talk about. I mean, Peyton Milius and Taylor Indall and Larson from Chester. There's just so many good ones. We'll get deeper into it when we break this stuff down for the state tournament, which is coming up next week, guys. You ready for that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we better be.
Ready.
All right, thanks for joining us.